liberty, and justice for all. The prayer this morning will be offered by the good gentleman from Cecil County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. If you could bow your heads. This is a prayer from Chaplain Margaret Grun Kibben. We draw near you, O God, before we begin the legislative business of this day, and pray that you will abide with us as we address the matters that will be brought before this body. Would that we wash our hands of malice and mean-spiritedness, ire and indignation. Cleanse us of all that detracts us from your noble intent. Would that we examine our motives, that we would be free of selfishness and indifference. Search us and know us, that with a singleness of purpose we would live to serve you with integrity. Would that we present to you our hearts for the work of this General Assembly. Inspire us that we may aim to accomplish would reflect your grace, plan for our communities and our country. O Lord, consecrate the work of our hands, clarify the judgment of our minds, direct the desires of our hearts, that all we do today would be worthy of the opportunity we have been given to serve you in this place. In the righteousness of your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Quorum call.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their presence? If so, the clerk will take the call. There being 132 members present, the House is now in session. The clerk will read the journal from the previous day.
Annapolis, Maryland, February the 14th, 2024.
Recognizing the Deputy Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Move so much be considered the reading of the journal.
So ordered. Petitions, memorials, and other papers. Consent calendar of introductory House bills, number 46. The clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 1481, Delegate A. Johnson. House rules.
Recognizing the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So much be considered the reading of House Bills 1481 through 1493.
Hearing no objections, the bills are read the first time and are referred to the appropriate committees. The clerk will read the bond initiatives and the committee assignment.
Introductory House Bond Initiatives number 40, February 15th, 2024. Referred to appropriations.
Okay. Quorum call for third reading bills.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their presence?
Madam Speaker, my button's not working. Madam Speaker?
I heard you.
Okay.
You record. Clerk will take the call. There being 135 members present, the House is still in session. Calendar of third reading, House Bills number 4. The clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 4, Institutions of Higher Education Admission Standards, Prohibition on Consideration of Legacy Preference or Donor Preference.
Is on third reading and final passage.
Madam Speaker.
Is there any debate?
Sorry.
Recognizing, there's a procedure we go through on this, okay? All right? And you've been here long enough to know that. Okay.
Well, I just
Is
wanted to
there
make sure I
any
got your
debate?
attention. I know how much you like me, so.
Go ahead.
Thank
Gentlemen.
you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you. I do have a question for the floor leader on this bill, if I may.
Recognizing the chair of the committee.
Yes, sir.
How are you
Floor
today?
leader, but I'm fine.
I just had a question concerning this HB4, Institutions of Higher Education Admission Standards, Prohibition on Legacy Preference. So is that pretty much what the bill does in its entirety?
The title says it all, really.
So basically, if you went to one of the institutions in the University of Maryland system, and your child then went in, you can't obviously get in. Is that what that says? You can't get into the university via preference because?
You can be admitted. I mean, you have to earn
Can you
it.
explain it? Can you clarify it for me?
I mean, the title says it all. You have to earn your admission.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
got it, thank you. Thank you. So, Madam Speaker, on the bill?
On the bill.
Thank you. So I actually don't do this very often, but I am today going to give the sponsor of the bill and the bill itself kudos for putting this bill in and focusing on merit. Because people should be hired on merit. I want the best pilot. I want the best surgeon. I want the best of everything when I hire them, and I want to know that they were hired on merit. Likewise, I want to know that when people get into an institution, they did not get in based on their familial racial relationship or on the money that they gave the institution, and I think that's a good thing. So I do want to thank the sponsor and the committee for focusing on merit, because that's important for our higher education institutions. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Bill sponsor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. To my colleague, however you get there and believing in equity, we appreciate that. This was a bipartisan vote in the committee. We actually took on an amendment from one of our Republican colleagues to expand it to make sure that donors' kids aren't able to get preferential treatment just because your parent donated a wing either, that it is your effort that got you there, and that alone. I think I encourage anyone to watch the testimony that we had in that bill, and it shows that it is a response to the Supreme Court not recognizing the importance of diversity, and that the President Biden, the Department of Education, encouraged this, along with many other things for us to do to ensure diversity in higher ed. Fortunately, there's other bills coming to help with this too. We hope we can gain your vote for that as well. Have a great day.
Madam Speaker.
Yes. The gentlelady from Hartford.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I understand the importance of a bill like this for our state institutions. I'll be read because it includes private.
The sponsor of the bill.
Thank you. The bill is for any institution of higher education that receives public money. So it only has any effect on private schools if they take your taxpayer money for their policies. And again, I just stress the fact that this had a unanimous bipartisan vote in the Appropriations Committee.
Madam Speaker.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yes,
and
gentleman from Eastern Shore.
Thank you. MCUA did testify, or they sent written testimony in, stating that none of our private institutions actually practice with legacy preference when it comes to admissions. So it's even with our private institutions, it's not well. So what I said was MCUA actually sent in written testimony, basically saying that none of our private institutions use legacy as a preference during our admissions. So even if it doesn't include the private institutions, they currently don't practice this anyhow. So.
Is there any further debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 133 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 4, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 19, Natural Resources, Northern Snakehead, common name.
It's on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 136 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 19, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 26, Small Minority and Women-Owned Businesses Account Alterations.
It's on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 135 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 26, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 35, Property Tax, Submission of Building Permits to Supervisor of Assessments, Estimated Construction Costs.
It's on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 99 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 35, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 42, Public Health Services and Protections Revisions.
It's on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 134 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 42, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 45, Natural Resources, Sale, Barter, or Exchange of Mounted Specimens from Decedent's Estate.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 137 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 45, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
House Bill 52, State Employees Parental Bereavement Leave.
It's on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk
Madam
will...
Speaker.
Oh, I didn't look to the left. General Lady from Baltimore County.
Thank you. Would the floor leader rise, please, for a couple questions?
Sure. How are you this
Leader?
morning?
Good morning. Well, how are you?
Good. Good to see you.
You too. I'm looking for my copy of my bill here. I noticed that this bill, well, first of all, thank you for bringing this bill.
Give credit to Delegate Stewart. Thank you.
I'm
Sorry. Excuse
yes,
me.
Delegate.
Sponsor. Sorry.
Our
Excuse me.
colleague over there by you. And I was really glad to read the fiscal note that fortunately there aren't too many women and men that experience this. And as a woman who has unfortunately had a stillborn child, I know how difficult it is. So I notice on page 2 of the bill, it says stillbirth means the death of a fetus after a gestation period of 20 weeks. Can you tell me how you all came up with 20 weeks?
I believe that was the established definition. Just want to make sure I get this correct.
Thank you so much.
I think it's existing law. That's what we're just belts and suspendering, but I'm almost positive it's existing law.
So is this bill then tangentially weighing in that a 20-week fetus is a baby?
No, this is already an existing definition. What we are essentially doing is putting this definition into the bereavement statute for state personnel.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for answering that.
And we did just get confirmation that is the existing definition in state statute. We're just, again, moving it into the state personnel code for bereavement leave.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, I find that an interesting definition, and one could very rightfully assume that the state law is saying that at 20 weeks, that fetus is a baby. So I'm pleased with that, and while I believe some of the leave is very generous, 60 days leave, I will be voting for this bill because fortunately we do not have too many families that experience this, but it can be very difficult and painful. Thank you.
Gentlelady from Prince George's. You sat down. Okay. Is there any further debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 137 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 52, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Calendar of third reading House Bills number 5.
Madam Speaker.
Jenna Lays from Prince George's.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to change my vote on HB 99. If I could please be recorded in the affirmative.
Bring up the.
House Bill 19.
We don't have a
correction.
House Bill 99. Which bill are you talking about?
House Bill 19, Madam Speaker. My correct-
19. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
We do have that.
Thank you.
Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 250, Financial Institutions, Third-Party Service Providers Examinations.
It's on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 100 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 250, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 262, Consumer Protection, Consumer Reporting Agencies, Information in Consumer Credit Reports.
It's on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 100 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 262, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
House Bill 358, Prince George's County Work Group on Health and Wellness.
It's on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 137 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 358, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
House Bill 383, Cosmetology Licensure Compact.
It's on third reading and final passage. Is there any
Madam
debate?
Speaker.
The gentleman from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I had a quick question for the floor leader on this.
Chair of the committee.
Go ahead. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question. I was reading in the fiscal note that it said the commission may levy and collect an annual assessment from each member, state and impose fees or licenses on licensees that are given a multi-state license. Are these fees going to increase on the individual or potentially could increase, or is that fees on the state as a whole for joining this compact?
I feel like you, could
Maybe
you
I
ask that
misunderstood.
question again?
So if I'm trying to get a cosmetology license, is my fee potentially going up, or is this on the state that's joining this?
The fee is honestly that we will impose on the licensee. The individual is asking for a license.
Okay.
And it's a similar fee than we would charge if you're in multiple states. So if you're licensed in multiple states, you'll probably pay a fee in each of those states, including ours. So you're not going to, just because you paid a fee in Virginia, that doesn't mean you come over here and you don't have to pay a licensing fee.
Okay. So then you would probably have to pay, okay, for each state that you.
But yes, for each state, it's not increasing because you have multiple licenses, it's just if you have a license.
Yep.
Right, but you just don't have to take all the tests and all the other things. You just get to come over here and pay the licensing fee.
Thank you.
Is there any further debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 131 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 383, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 386, Maryland Meals for Achievement in Classroom Breakfast Program. Alterations, Maryland Meals for Achievement Flexibility Act of 2024.
It's on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 137 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 386, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 390, Commission on African American History and Culture Museum name change.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 137 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 390, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 410, Maryland Technology Development Corporation Equitech Growth Fund alterations.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 137 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 410, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Calendar of third reading, House Bills number 6. Clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 67, Insurance Penalties, Unauthorized Insurers, Insurance Producers, and Public Adjusters.
It's on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 100 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 67, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
Madam Speaker, I missed that last vote on whatever bill it was on the election law. 67, right? Be recorded in red.
Okay.
that's the next bill. That's this bill.
Clerk will read next bill. Yeah.
House Bill 80, Election Law, Party and Elected Public Offices Prohibition.
It's on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 102 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 80, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
House Bill 90, Insurance Hearing Representation.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 137 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 90, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
House Bill 112, Persons Doing Public Business Disclosure Requirements.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 138 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 112, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read the next bill.
House Bill 113, Vehicle Laws, Horse Riding, Helmet Requirement for Minors.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 117 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 113, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 144, Public Employee Relations Act alterations.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 107 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 144, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 154, Homeowners Property Tax Credit, Application Filing Deadline, Extension for Homeowner Protection Program Enrollees.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 138 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 154, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Calendar of third reading, House Bills number 7. Clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 161, Vehicle Laws, Driver's Licenses, Learners Instructional Permits, and Identification Cards.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate?
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker.
Recognizing the minority whip.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Would the floor leader mind rising for just a...
Floor leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good morning.
Good morning. I apologize. Usually I'm a little bit more prepared. I was trying to get caught up on this bill. Can you just go over the bill briefly and give us a gist of what it does?
Sure. So HB 161 is a departmental bill.
Okay.
It has 3 portions to it. The first one is it exempts certain applicants for identification cards who present appropriate documentation to the MVA from paying the required $1 fee. Number 2, it extends the term of a learner's instructional permit for a new class of license from 180 days to a year. And number 3, it establishes that a driver's license issued to certain U.S. government contractors and any dependents must remain in full force and effect during an absence from the state under certain circumstances.
Excellent. So the first part about the documentation that may be required to get the identification card, what sort of documentation would suffice under this bill now?
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
What sort of documentation would work for an individual to get an identification card now versus what they could use before?
Depends on what they're looking for. Wait, sorry.
Okay,
There's
so
a lot of people.
today, that's all right.
You want to know what the law is today
Yeah.
for what someone needs to get an identification card?
Yeah, like I can rephrase. So like today, if I wanted to get an identification card, what is different about today versus when this bill takes effect? Like what different?
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing. The only difference is there are certain people who we ask them to pay a $1 fee, and the department has said that actually costs us more, so we're just getting rid of that fee. So there's nothing different about what they have to present to get that card.
Okay. Okay. I thought you said there was some, but that's fine. That's fine. Okay.
Nope.
The second part is, so 6 months as a learner's permit is what is going on now, and this extends that for 1 year.
Yes.
Does it start the age earlier, or does the age start at the same time and it just goes for a full year?
It doesn't do anything to the age. What it says is if you have a learner's permit that expires after 180 days and they're extending it, and we've done that elsewhere.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Is there any further debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 130 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 161, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 178, Vehicle Laws, Disabled Veteran Registration Plates, Issuance.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 138 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 178, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
House Bill 229, Vehicle Laws, Motor Vehicle Insurance Companies, Requirements.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 138 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 229, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 230, Motor Vehicle Administration Death Certificates, issuance of copies.
It's on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 138 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 230, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
House Bill 237, Commercial Northern Snakehead License Gear.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 138 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 237, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 242, State Amusement Ride Safety Advisory Board, sunset repeal.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 138 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 242, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Calendar of third reading, House Bills number 8. Clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 159, Common Ownership Communities Electric Vehicle Recharging Equipment, Electric Vehicle Recharging Equipment Act of 2024.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate?
Madam Speaker.
Recognizing the minority leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Would the, thank you, my friend, delegate from Prince George's County. Is my understanding of the bill correct that if you want to get the electric vehicle charging equipment installed, for example, at your parking space, your dedicated parking space in your condominium, do you have to pay for that individually, or does the condominium association have to pick up those costs?
That is totally your own responsibility.
Okay. What if, for example, you don't have a dedicated parking space within the condominium? There's a common area parking, for example, and individuals within the condominium association want to put in the electric vehicle charging stations, you know, as we do in certain places in our garage and in other public buildings. Who would pay for those costs?
This does not apply to common areas, only to assigned spaces.
Only to dedicated parking spaces.
That is correct.
And I'm not an expert by any stretch of the imagination as to the technology and the engineering and the electrical requirements that go into these things. Are there additional, sometimes electrical requirements, infrastructure requirements that would go in to enable you to place the dedicated parking space vehicle charging station? Meaning you'd have to run an electrical line from point A to point B, you'd have to provide additional conduits, those types of things.
Yes, and in the bill, you'll see it mentions the word appurtenances, which covers exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, appurtenances is the word that's being used. That's fine. And so do all of those costs also get borne solely by that one independent dedicated parking space owner?
That is correct.
Do you have any idea like how much, I mean, if someone just wanted one parking space, there's a row of 30 parking spaces, you're the only person that has an electric vehicle, and they say, look, I want the charger for me. How much money, do we have a rough estimate of that would cost to run it for hundreds of feet, yards, whatever it takes?
The answer to your question is I do not know.
Okay.
If, for example, you're talking about a parking space that is 50 yards away, it's going to cost obviously more than a parking space that's 2 feet away.
Is the purpose of the bill then just simply to prevent the condominium association or the group from saying, hey, you can't do that at all because it's going to cause costs, construction delays, things of that nature?
The purpose of the legislation is to allow those that want to have EV charging stations to have them in their communities. period.
All right. I appreciate your interest. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it.
Is there any further debate? Recognize the gentleman from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to ask you, if this parking spot is underneath the condo, it's enclosed, is there going to be any special requirements as far as fire suppression?
Fire suppression, any costs that are associated with putting this EV charging station, no matter where it is, it's your own assigned space, is your cost. So you would have to get the estimates in your particular question. If there's fire suppression equipment required, that is your cost to put that in, and you have to get that permits, et cetera, to construct that. That's all on you. Insurance included. You have to get your own insurance for this if you want this. So everything that is required to get that EV charging station in your spot is your responsibility.
Thank you. Did the committee take in consideration of the hazards of electric vehicles when they catch on fire? These batteries, we have runaway batteries that are almost possible to put out.
This bill is relevant to access only.
Thank you.
Is there any further debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change your vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 114 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 159, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
House Bill 280, Local Government, Condominium, and Homeowners Associations Repair and Rehabilitation Funds.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? Recognizing the gentlelady from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Will the floor leader rise, please?
Floor leader.
Good morning.
Good morning. What can you tell us about this bill?
It's a great bill.
I know the sponsor, and he's a great guy, but could you give us a little more information?
Oh, is that what you want? How about if I just read the bill summary to you? Maybe that will clear it up for you.
That would be great.
Thank you. The bill authorizes counties, municipalities, establishes a local trust fund and other appropriate fund for the purpose of repairing and rehabilitating infrastructure within the communities that are subject to the Maryland Condominium Act and the Maryland Homeowners Association Act.
So is this bill going to let local governments use tax dollars to help with the reserve fund issue?
This bill will allow the counties to establish a trust fund where they can assist common ownership communities in repairing for infrastructure costs. So I think what you're asking is a question relevant to reserve funding, and this bill will assist in common ownership communities in establishing or reestablishing or getting funds into reserve accounts, yes.
So we need this bill because the bill we debated very thoroughly last year or the year before requires HOAs to have a reserve fund, and these HOAs are having a difficult time raising those reserve funds. Is that why we need this?
What I would like to do in terms of our discussion is remove the discussion from reserve funding, because this bill is not specific to reserve funding. What I would like to do is specifically concentrate on this particular legislation, which allows the counties to establish a trust fund to help common ownership communities if they're having funding issues.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Floor Leader. I will be voting against this bill. It is a problem that was established by a bill that was passed here last year. And I'm sure each one of you on this floor are hearing from your HOAs that they cannot raise the funds they need for this reserve fund bill that was passed. It put an onerous amount of expenses upon these HOA homeowners, and instead of repealing that bill, we're setting up, more government to solve the problem that government created. So I'm a no on this bill.
Floor
Madam
Leader.
Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, this bill, as I indicated earlier, is not relevant specifically to reserve funds. There are some communities within all of our jurisdictions that need assistance. There are some jurisdictions that need assistance, and it is not only because of reserve funding. Sometimes reserve, since the gentlelady wanted to talk about reserve funding, which is not part of this bill, I'll expand my discussion to include reserve funding. This bill not specifically referring to reserve funds. Some communities have sufficient reserve funds, but need additional assistance. That's what this bill does. When they contact their counties, they can ask for additional funding, which is not specific to reserve funds. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Is there any further debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change your vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 113 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 280, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
House Bill 283, Housing and Community Development, Affordable Housing, Identifying Suitable Property.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 105 votes in the affirmative, HB 283, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
House Bill 284, Education, Provision of Maryland Youth Crisis Hotline Telephone Number, Alteration.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 138 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 284, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
House Bill 289, State Contracts, Prohibited Provisions.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 138 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 289, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 291, County Boards of Education, Bid Advertisement Threshold and Electronic Posting of Hearing Notices and Bid Advertisements.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 134 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 291, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed.
Madam Speaker.
Gentleman from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to be in the green for 383 and the red for 161. Thank you.
Gentlelady from Prince George.
Madam Speaker, thank you. My button did not work for HB 159. I would like to be recorded in the green. Thank you.
Gentleman from the
Calvert.
Calvert.
How can you forget? Oh my gosh. I'm kidding.
I
I'm
won't
kidding.
respond to that.
HB 410 to red.
Madam Speaker.
Gentlelady from Baltimore County.
Thank you so much. I'd like to be red on House Bill 161. And somehow my finger didn't work on that recent debate I just had, and I voted yes on House Bill 280 after standing to say I would vote no. So I would like to be no on House Bill 280. Thank you.
Gentleman
Madam Speaker,
from Baltimore.
like to be in the red on 161, please.
Okay, gentleman from the Eastern Shore.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'll do the same on 161 to red.
Gentleman from Eastern Shore.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to do the same read on 161, please.
Any other vote changes? Seeing none. Letters of reassignment. The clerk will read the letter.
House Bill 1420, reassigned to Economic Matters and Health and Government Operations.
Hearing no objection, the letters are ordered journalized. That ends the work at the desk. Tomorrow we will be going pro forma. Please listen to your committee announcements. Appropriations.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Today, the full committee won't meet. Subcommittees will meet. Tomorrow, we are going to move up voting to 11 o'clock and our briefings to 11:30.
Judiciary.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House Judiciary Committee will be having bill hearings today at 1 o'clock. We have a joint bill hearing with the Health and Government Operations Committee tomorrow at 1. That bill hearing is virtual.
Environment and Transportation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Environment and Transportation Committee will meet for bill hearings at 1 o'clock today. And tomorrow, we have bill hearings at 12:30. So I tell that to the committee members and the bill sponsors. We have bill hearings tomorrow at 12:30 in the committee room, followed by a voting session. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome. Ways and Means.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Ways and Means Committee will have bill hearings today at 1 p.m., followed by a voting session. We will not meet tomorrow on Friday. Enjoy your Friday tomorrow.
Economic Matters.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The House Economic Matters Committee will be meeting for bill hearings today at 1 p.m. Subcommittee chair meeting will be immediately following session. And please listen up because we're a performer. Tomorrow we will be voting at 10:30 in the committee room. And lastly, for the body, House Economic Matters will be holding its alcohol day, which is where we hear all of our alcohol bills, on at 1 p.m. on the 19th, which is Monday. So if you want your bill heard, please be there. If you don't want it heard, show up late. Thank you.
Health and Government Operations.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good morning, everyone. So today, the Health and Government Operations Committee will have bill hearings at 1:20. 1:20 in the committee room, in person. Tomorrow, we will have voting in person in the committee at 10:30. In person in the committee at 10:30 voting tomorrow. We will have a virtual joint hearing with Judiciary, virtual, at 1 p.m. That gives you time to go somewhere comfortable. All right? Thank you.
Any subcommittee announcements? Education.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Education and Economic Development Subcommittee will be meeting at 1:30 for a voting session. Thank you.
Health Occupation.
Health Occupations will be meeting at 11 o'clock virtually for a voting session.
Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Health and Social Services Subcommittee on Appropriations will be meeting today at 1 p.m. in the Prince George's County Delegation Room for budget hearings. Thank you.
Motor Vehicle.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Motor Vehicles and Transportation Subcommittee meeting will be meeting after bill hearings. It will be virtual. Thank you.
Transportation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Transportation and Environment Subcommittee of Appropriations will meet on Monday at 1 p.m.
Public Safety.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Public Safety and Administration Subcommittee will meet in the Baltimore City Delegation Room at 1 p.m. See you there.
Early Childhood.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Early Childhood Subcommittee is meeting immediately after floor on Zoom.
Civil Law.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Civil Law and Procedure Subcommittee will meet, and we're going to say 11:15 to make sure everybody can get back in time virtually.
Education.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good morning. The Education Subcommittee Ways and Means will meet after the aforementioned Early Childhood Subcommittee this morning.
Collection Law.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Election Law Subcommittee will meet immediately after the Education Subcommittee or at 12 p.m., whichever is sooner, after Education. Thank you.
Criminal.
Public.
I'm sorry? I can't hear.
Public safety.
Public safety?
For judiciary.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Public Safety Subcommittee for Judiciary will be meeting Monday at 4 p.m. via Zoom. Thank you.
Any other subcommittees? Okay. Any delegation announcements? Frederick.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So the Frederick County delegation, we have to vote on 4 delegation amendments, and these bills are going before committee on Monday at 1 p.m. So if you could, outside the Old House chamber, immediately after floor, if you're in the Frederick County delegation, we have a voting session. Thank you.
Montgomery.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Montgomery County House delegation is meeting tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on Zoom.
Anne Arundel.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Anne Arundel County delegation will be meeting on Zoom tomorrow morning at 8:15 a.m. Tomorrow morning, 8:15.
Baltimore City.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Baltimore City delegation will be meeting at 8:30 in the morning tomorrow via Zoom.
Charles.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Southern Maryland delegation will meet via Zoom tomorrow at 9.
Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Baltimore County delegation will meet at 9 a.m. tomorrow for briefings, bill hearings, and possible voting.
Charles.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Charles County delegation will meet via Zoom Friday morning at 10 o'clock.
Any other delegation? Prince George's.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Prince George's County delegation will meet tomorrow via Zoom at 9 a.m.
Any other delegation announcements? Seeing none. Any caucus announcements? Okay. I'm sorry. Oh, fire and EMS.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Fire EMS Coalition will be meeting Monday at 2 p.m. in the Senate, and the Basketball Caucus will be meeting Monday evening after floor. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Gentleman from Eastern Shore.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Eastern Shore delegation will be meeting tomorrow via Zoom at 9 a.m.
Any other caucuses? Okay. We have a Black History moment. Delegate from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. So today I rise to share with you a small portion of a bio from a man who was born in Fayetteville, West Virginia in the early 1930s, and he later moved to Milford Mill, Maryland in the late 1950s, where he resided until 2016 upon his death. He was a fine age of 83. He received his bachelor's in biology from West Virginia State College, which was founded in 1891 as an HBCU. And during his time there, the now university was one of the leading public institutions of higher education for African Americans. He received his first master's in science education from the Morgan State University. He received his second master's in education supervision and administration from the University of Maryland, College Park. And in 1968, he mounted one of the 38 buses from Baltimore to DC to attend a life-changing event, the March on Washington. Originally, he thought he was going to help others because in his fickle mind, he had already arrived. But he quickly was reminded as he headed towards the National Monument that it was way more than what his diminished mind originally believed. He was the science department head at Rockland Middle School. He was the assistant principal at Lombard Middle School. And in 1968, he was promoted to assistant director of city schools project mission. Here is where he coordinated an urban training program for teachers. His trajectory for children of color throughout the United States was always get your education. And from 1971 to 1981, he served the William Donald Schaefer administration with great pride as the education advisor and the director of his human services program. Later, he became the executive director of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, where he served for 3 years. He promoted black leadership in government from all levels. And in 1962, he led the kickoff of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation's first Caucus Institute in Washington, D.C., following the single largest increase in African American electeds since the Reconstruction period. And from 1996 until 2012, he served as the executive director for the National Alliance of Black School Educators, where he tirelessly worked to increase the number of Black and Hispanic administrators, especially in the positions of superintendents in public schools throughout this nation. So some of you may want to know, who is this wonder of a man? Well, you know, he was an avid lover and an owner of golden retrievers and classical cars. He was a gardener of onions and beets, green beans and cucumbers and cantaloupe. And by his own right, he was a winemaker. And yes, I was the benefactor of many of his aged grapes during the holidays. Some may call him a longtime educator, a tireless supporter of at-risk students, a mentor to African American educators such as CEO Gregory Thornton. He was a mentor to government officials such as Congressman Kwesi Mfume. You see, some simply just called him by name, Quentin Roosevelt Lawson. My dad, they called him little brother, and I simply called him a great uncle. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Very nice. Very nice. I don't know which hat. Oh, you're the whip? Okay, Majority Whip.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. To repeat an old phrase, colleagues, a card laid is a card played, which is to say that we're in the part of session where we're going to be voting a lot more from here on out. The first month obviously is a little bit slower. Now things are starting to move out of the committees, and we need you guys to really pay attention on the floor. Taking time to update, your vote takes time from us doing other things. So please pay attention as we move forward. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Are there any? Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to recognize an auspicious occasion for a friend and a colleague who is a trailblazer and a barrier breaker. He has an encyclopedic knowledge of the General Assembly and state government, which always amazes me, and he has an incredibly kind heart. Permission to use the delegate's name?
Permission granted.
Thank you. On behalf of myself and Delegate Shetty, I would like to ask the body to join me in wishing Delegate Aaron Kaufman a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Delegate. Any personal or guest announcements? Gentlelady from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. With us in the gallery today is our great intern from the University of Maryland, Angelica Nina.
Gentleman from the Eastern Shore. Yes, Eastern Shore.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Colleagues up in the gallery today, I want to have you recognize a group here from the Mid-Atlantic Golf Course Association.
Madam Speaker.
Gentlelady from Anne Arundel.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We have a representative here today from the Caucus of African American Leaders County. I'll ask him to stand in the gallery. The caucus advocates for interests for the African American community. They also have branches on Maryland's Eastern Shore and in Harford County as well. Joining us today is Baron Bell, the chair of their Public Safety Committee. Thank you.
Gentleman from Harford County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Permission to use the delegate's name?
Permission granted.
Thank you, colleagues. Please join myself and Delegate Teresa Rowley in welcoming our Doctor of the Day, Dr. Frank Sparandero. He's an internal medicine doctor, and he's in the Council on Legislation for MedChi. He's a retired flight surgeon for the Air Force.
Gentlelady from Prince George's.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just want to welcome and recognize the Chesapeake Physicians for Social Responsibility that are joining us here today for their Advocacy Day. They're inviting everyone to their pizza party at Harry Brown's from 11:45 a.m. until 1 p.m. Sure. Let's welcome them here.
Gentleman from Frederick.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's important we recognize our good friend from the shores of the Potomac with his birthday, and we have a gentleman on the shores of the Atlantic. Permission to use the delegate's name?
Permission granted.
So please welcome and honor the birthday of Otto. Happy birthday, man.
Gentleman from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have a great person watching via Zoom today. Today's a great announcement. I actually asked her 50 years ago today. Well, it was before that. We said I do 50 years ago today, and that's a big milestone. And I asked her this morning. I said, would you marry me again? She said yes.
Gentleman from Prince George's.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Colleagues, on behalf of the Legislative Black Caucus, today is HBCU Day in Annapolis. In the gallery, we have students from our 4 illustrious HBCUs, Bowie State, Morgan State University, Coppin State University, and the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. I want to thank the members who have signed up. We're going to do a picture, and you're going to meet your shadows after the floor session. But will these students stand up, and let's welcome them to the House floor.
Any other personal guests? Gentleman from Baltimore City.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Colleagues, to follow up on the delegates' comments, I'd like to acknowledge 2 graduates of 2 wonderful Maryland HBCUs, the University of Maryland Eastern Shore and Morgan State, who happen to be my staff members and have joined us in the gallery today. I'm very proud of them and glad for their service to me. So I'd ask them to rise. Tyreek Russell, who is my legislative aide, and Aja Harris, who is my chief of staff. Thank you. Thank you.
Gentlelady from Prince George's.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On behalf of my sorority sisters of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, I would like to invite you all to join us on Monday evening from 6 to 8 before session for a reception at Harry Brown. Since we won't be here tomorrow, I thought I'd better let you know today. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Any others? Well, since we have a performer tomorrow, we're thinking about today is the time to thank the pages. So, recognizing the protocol chair.
Come on down. You sunshine's been wonderful this week. It's been a busy week, Madam Speaker. And I did not know, y'all caught me off guard, but that's okay, I'ma wing it. Okay, here we go. So, since I won't be doing this tomorrow, you all know the routine. Don't have to tell you one more time. Okay, you ready? Here we go. Mark Buckler, Prince George's County, District 23. Bowie High School. Carrie Coley, Baltimore County, District 11B, McDonough High School. Olivia Hung, Harford County, District 34, Haverty High School. Daniel Katz, Cecil County, District 36, Northeast High School. Kier MacArthur, Montgomery County, Leah Kishner, Montgomery County, District 20, Montgomery Blair High School. Eric Lynn, Anne Arundel County, District 31, Severna Park High School. Wait a minute, remember, I don't have my glasses on, but that's okay, Madam Speaker. Come on, okay? Okay, Naomi McKinley, Howard County, District 13, at Halton High School. Aiden Sachs, Baltimore County, District 34B, Leola Blakefield. Abigail Van Dallo, Vadella. Okay, here we go with this, y'all. You ready? Worcester County, Rooster County, Walter County, Walt County. I'll get it together. District 38A, Stephen Decatur High School. I'll get it right next time. You know I'm not a perfect protocol person, but I do the best I can. And I love my sunshines. Oh, don't you all love your sunshines? Haven't they been great? Oh, give them a good hand, because it's been a wonderful. Thank you, sunshines. You may be seated. Okay, today is today, y'all. Okay, Madam Speaker, we're almost there. I want you to know, almost there. We got almost in the 90s. But guess what? I got to get to 141. Okay? So see me or come to room 205, and I'm going to give you till Monday to get it together, because that's when you get paid. Okay? All right. Have a great weekend. From your protocol chair, Delegate Veronica Turner.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Quorum call.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their presence? Clerk will call the roll. There being 138 members present, the House is still in session. Recognizing the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the House stands adjourned until Friday, February 16th at 11 for a pro forma session.